Hi everyone, I wanted to do another quick video describing really what is on a mixer and what does a mixer allow you to do within its settings so that you guys can understand a little bit more about how to control whatever you want to control within the mixer itself. So you may have seen the video that I have setting up two PCs using one mixer, one headphone jack, and one microphone. Today I'm going to talk more specifically just about a mixer in general and how a mixer can help you choose a lot of different things even beyond just PC. So first I'm going to explain what every single knob does per channel and different ways that you can configure your mixer in order to best suit your needs. So every vertical channel here is what you consider a line or a line in. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 line ins, and then these two lines are special lines, and the reason being is they have actually two inputs that are controlled by one line each. These are stereo line ins and manages stereo audio. So as you could see, I have two separate stereo inputs. One of them is from the game PC, one of them is from the stream PC. I have my microphone input on line 1, and then I actually have for guitar playing another line input for line 2. So now let's go through within each line what capabilities we have to adjust the audio for the mix. Now when I talk about the mix, I'll explain it a little bit better later, but the mix is essentially what you're hearing. What are the things that are contributing to that audio that you're going to hear? So here we have an XLR input, which is a three-pronged input. It's very, very typical for most higher-end microphones. Typically with a microphone, you either have a USB audio input or a XLR input. XLR inputs typically have to have some sort of an interface in order for them to be used for computer devices, but many times with a mixer like this, or even direct sound cards or processing effects that may go into an amplifier, they already have XLR inputs on those amplifiers. Next, we have a 1/4 inch balanced or unbalanced input. Now I want to mention something here, that these inputs are mono. So it's a mono line, which means there's only one channel. So if you're going to try to put a stereo cable that's 1/4 inch into one of these lines, you're going to have some goofy audio. The two rings that are on a stereo cable don't exactly line up to the mono, and sometimes you have to pull it out in order for it to duplicate properly. Here we have a button, and this button allows for a cutoff frequency for any of the microphone lines. The reason why it's here is typically when we're talking, we don't have bass lines in our voice that go below 75 hertz. So you're allowed, or it's allowing you to cut those frequencies off, which can sometimes be hums or buzzes or room reverberations that all come in lower than 75 hertz. Here is your main gain knob. So this is effectively the volume that's coming into this device. You're adjusting the volume of that device independent of the fader that's down here. This knob here on this particular mixer is a built-in compressor. Compressors in general are an idea where if you are presenting more decibels to the microphone or the line in, and you want those decibels to be brought back down within a non-clipping level, you typically use a compressor. It evens the decibel level out of the different frequency ranges in the input and allows them to be normalized out to your mix. Here on this top line, we have it's a basic EQ for 12 kilohertz signals or above. These are really high signals, typically really crisp sounds like the sound of wind or the sound of a hi-hat on drums. And here you could choose to turn those decibels up, just like turning your treble up in your car, or leave it exactly where it's at, which is at 0. Mids, this is 2.5 kilohertz. This actually is sort of the higher end of our vocal ranges. So you can see with my microphone, I have this turned up slightly. Makes my voice a little bit more crisp on the mix itself. And then bass. This is at 80 hertz, so this sometimes gives you a little bit more bass to your voice or to your line. This is typically where a kick drum may be, or a bass drum that you find in a typical drum setup. Here we have our red line. Now this red line is called the Aux line, or Aux Send 1. This line can take any of these inputs and transfer it to another output effectively. Typically in a setup you would use Aux Send to send out to a mixing table, which allows you to apply either different effects or different mixes or another EQ to it and process that channel differently than the channel that's coming into the mixer. Then we have an orange knob here. This orange knob is effectively taking whatever line that has this orange knob turned up and applying this effects processor that you have built into this mixer to it. By using this line, you can do things like typical reverb, you can do echo, you can do some delay. It just applies a slight effect to the line that's coming in, especially if you're going straight out to monitors or an amplifier or a PA speaker, something along those lines. You can have some real basic modifications without having to buy an expensive effects processor that's perhaps on the amplifier itself. Here at the bottom knob we have a pan, and that just allows you to go going left or right. So if I want my audio to go to the left channel, I turn it to the left. If I want it to go to the right channel, I go to the right. Down here is kind of a unique feature for this particular mixer, and this allows you to choose which channel this audio goes to. So if this button is not compressed, it will go to the main mix, or the main output, which is on the back of the mixer. The main output could go to, say, studio monitors, which would be via a balanced or unbalanced line, very similar to this this input here at the top. It could be XLR, which these monitors also have an XLR input on the back as well. Or it could be USB. This mixer actually has a USB output for the main channels, and that's what we're actually using here to send our microphone via USB to the Stream PC. Down here you have a fader. This fader controls the volume that's being sent out to the mix itself. So we have this gain knob, right? This gain knob controls how loud this input is before this fader. So I can have this gain all the way up with this fader down and still monitor how loud that gain is over here on these LEDs. So now that we have the essentials for these four lines, let's talk a little bit about this line. This line, what's a little bit unique is we have, rather than having these buttons for a low frequency cutoff, we actually have a gain boost, effectively a decibel boost. So we lose the gain knob, but we have a gain boost for each of these two lines. We lose the compression on these two lines as well. I think in this case the mixer designers are assuming that these lines that are coming in are not microphone lines, given the fact that they're stereo first of all, and they're not XLR. They decided to get rid of the compressor settings on this. But effectively you have all the same knobs. Now one thing I didn't talk about here, which I forgot, so let's go ahead and talk about this little button here. These little buttons on each one of these lines tells this red channel, or this red aux send line that's going out from the mixer, whether or not it should consider this volume pre or post fader. What does that mean? It means if this button is pressed in, the output that's going to the aux send out, which is this black cable in the back here, it tells it whether or not it should rely on this fader being up or down. If you have it pressed down, this volume can be down and the audio will still come out of this black line. If you have this pressed out, then it's dependent on this fader here. Now, as we talk about each one of these faders, it's important to understand a little bit something about this button. I talked about that this button, if not pressed down, will go to the main mix. But if you do press it down, it will go to the alternate mix, or in this case they call it the alternate 3/4 mix. The reason why this is important is on the back of the mixer, there's another output that says alternate 3-4. So at the same time that I have my main mix, I can have an alternate mix that goes to another set of speakers, a different room, or perhaps even, say, headphones for somebody else that's listening. What this allows you to do is effectively mix it completely separate from the main mix that you may be hearing. So now we're going to talk about these little controls that are over here on the right. These controls over here, so this red knob, if turned up and down, controls the whole volume of any of the red knobs that are mixed for each one of the lines. So let's say that you find that, like, say, vocalist 1 has a good volume here based off of just the way that they speak, the way that the microphone is set up, and vocalist 2 seems to have a nice balance right around this place because they have a louder voice, something along those lines. This knob controls all of these knobs' total volume out of this black aux send 1 line that's in the back here. This FX orange knob does the same exact thing for all of these. These two knobs, these two red knobs, controls these two inputs that are actually coming back into the mixer. So in a theoretical world, you use this aux send, you send it off to an effects processing setup as a head or through a computer, something along those lines. And then that stereo signal potentially comes back into here and gets processed into the main mix. So you can control the volumes via these on what those are as they come back in, especially if you're adding gain or something like that. You want to control the audio as it comes back in. Now up here, you'll notice we have a couple different things. This is where your headphones go. This is where a foot switch would go for your FX processing. And these are sort of a special little input for playing tracks. So if you have an MP3 player or a track player and you want to send those tracks into this, you can then monitor them via your headphones by choosing with these red buttons, where does that track go? So you can send the track directly to the USB output, or you can send the track to the main mix, and you can also choose within that whether or not you listen to that within your headphone mix. So with that being said, these should all help you understand this mixer a little bit better. What I'll explain a little bit here is I have all of these lines going out to main, right? But these are all pulled down all the way, which means only this line is active. So for each of these vertical lines, you really have a choice. It can be a main output or an alternate output. And with your headphones, which is using this knob, you can listen to your headphones, turn the volume up and down in your headphones. You could choose to listen to your alternate line or the main mix line or both. So for example, if I'm listening to my game PC and my stream PC and I also wanted to listen to my microphone, I can press down the main mix and also hear myself speak. But the beauty of this is that whether or not you choose the main mix with this button being up or the alternate mix with this button being pressed down, you can simultaneously send the audio from each one of your lines to either the aux send 1 or the FX line, which is aux send 2. So this should allow you to customize a little bit, especially if you wanted to send some audio to some speakers, if you wanted to send some audio to your streaming PC, while also sending the audio via either USB, XLR, or balance lines to other speakers from the main mix. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do enjoy the video, hit like. If you don't enjoy the video, hit dislike. If you guys want some more information, just ask me in the comments. Have a good day. Bye.